Autumn is in the air, the pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure you don't carve your pants pumpkins when you're grooming, if you know what I'm saying. Make sure you keep things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th generation performance package. Boys, get ready for a cuffing season like no other. Ready to take the leap into fall with Manscaped? Join the 2 million men worldwide using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code TAGS, TAGS. What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. I'm your host, Steve V. This is episode 302 alongside Lincoln. How you doing, Lincoln?
Doing well. How are you guys tonight?
Pretty good on this fall day here. And Kodi has migrated to Florida. And what are you doing in Florida?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful, and I'm meeting my boyfriend's parents for the very first time, and his brother. So
Yay!
Meet the parents.
I know, right? It's like a movie. We're in a movie here right now.
Oh my gosh, and I know thank you for calling in and doing the show, because I know you literally just landed. And what can you share with us initially? I hope you're in a room that they can't hear you, but
in a private
your
room.
First thoughts. I want to get into your mind on meeting the parents.
It's lovely. You know what? It hasn't escaped me that I've done this before, and it was a completely different situation where he wasn't out to his parents, and I had to sleep in a completely different room. Our relationship was kind of a secret to his mother, and I met his mother, but now everything is out in the open, and it's just a totally different experience. And it's so new and so wonderful. So I'm excited.
That's great.
I have a feeling, too, because I know your boyfriend, he's only 30, so I have a feeling the parents, if they're younger parents, are probably not much older than me, if at all. So they're probably going to be cool.
I'm not asking, okay?
Oh, yeah, do not ask that question. Just speculating. We'll get more on how it goes when you come back, but have a great weekend with that, and thanks for doing that. Yeah, this show really, I was looking at the topics ahead of us here, and it seems to be all about relationships and pushing boundaries. And what better way than this past weekend in San Francisco? The iconic Folsom Street Fair was back. As we all know, last year, the Folsom Street Fair was canceled, obviously, because of lockdown. Yep. And the normal Folsom Street Fair, they've had to implement things like social distancing, and they went back to a theme and a name that was one of the original names called Megahood, and they're calling it Megahood 2021. And they claim that it goes back to their roots, and the decision was clearly wasn't just because of COVID restrictions. The name Megahood referenced the first Folsom Street Fair, which was back in 1984. That was the original name. And they had some other names throughout the years, like Dancing in the Streets, Hot Six in the City, until the name Folsom Street Fair was permanently adopted in 1991. And this year, apparently, I was trying to get, I text my friend in San Francisco to get some tea about how his experience was, because I know he went, my old college buddy, but he hasn't responded back. But if he does, I'll report back. But you did have to have proof of vaccination, which I think is good. Masks were also required. And interestingly enough, hi, Salty Pretzel in the background over there.
Pretzel saying hello to the whole world right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Salty Pretzel. Apparently, alcohol was not sold at the event, as attendees were encouraged to patronize the local bars that have had, basically a rough go of last year and a half. So the strategy led to long lines, apparently, for the drinks at the Powerhouse, and up your alley during that festival. So I can only imagine the bars were probably crazy, but Lincoln, do you have any memories of Folsom Street Fair? Just to get that.
Yeah, the very first Folsom Street Fair I went to on my own was the same time I was opening the Flood Building Gap. And we worked
Oh,
all day at opening this store, doing all the visuals where the cable car turns around right at Market and Powell.
yeah.
And it's this huge, beautiful, beautiful store. And I remember I was wearing my Gap khakis and a white t-shirt, a clean tee, and a denim shirt, because that's what you do. And
Right.
I was working all day, and then I was finally like, okay, I'm off. I'm going to go to Folsom Street Fair. And I went and did my usual backroom. This was 1991. So this is when you
Wow.
just said they actually started calling it Folsom.
Right. Yeah,
Oh.
And
exactly.
yeah, even though I don't know if I'd gone before, like kind of stumbled upon it, but I was living in San Francisco at the time. And all I remember is I got home and there was so much like cum and lube all over my khakis. I could never wear them again. Like it was the
You
polar
stained,
opposite.
right?
It was the polar opposite of everything my day had been. And I remember I got home and I looked down and I'm like, I should either frame these or burn them. I'm not sure. But that's my best. That's one. I learned a lot of great things though from the guys at Folsom.
You
throughout
should
the
have
years.
framed those
I
because
should have
the
framed them. You're
Because
right.
they
You
had
know,
already
the
been burned. So
yeah, the dichotomy of a khaki pant versus a cum stained all. I mean,
Right?
there's a legendary
on.
guy at the New York Eagle that forever has worn this torn up wife beater tank for years and years, and it's like apparently been stained, and I'm not sure if you've ever washed it, and that's sort of its legendary status. And I don't even know why it probably doesn't stand on its own and have a name and talk back at you, but it would be kind of cool to if you had framed those. I think it would be
Yeah.
kind of, go up in Chicago's they've got their own museum there that would like yeah, that would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
My memory was we had a booth a few years ago when we were going to start a accessory line, and my sister sent me a picture of it with Jeremy Ross Lopez, our other host, and it was just so great to see us in our booth. And I was in a leather kilt and a harness, and yeah, it was a fun memory. But I remember, interestingly enough, though, I like how we're transitioning to open up theater, Folsom Street Fair. I don't mind that they wouldn't have alcohol. I mean, you go on the planes now, and some of them have it, some of them don't.
Yep.
At least it's better than being no event, and I'll take it. I mean, I really will.
slowly but surely we're opening back up, and that's the point.
Yes, exactly. Well, over the weekend as well, Billy Eichner announced his brand new all gay upcoming rom com feature, which is slated to come out. It's going to be a gay romantic comedy, Bros, it's being called, with Universal. And every character falls within the LGBTQ plus world. The film will be the first major studio comedy centering around two gay men, according to Universal Pictures, and Eichner is set to make history as the first out man to co-write and star in the film. It'll also be produced by Judd Apatow. We all know him, right? He's a
Yeah,
producer. So this
Yeah.
is like kind of a big deal, and the
it is a
project will
huge deal. Yeah.
yeah, it will make history as all of the principal roles will be filled by out LGBTQ plus talent. And we're talking about Luke McFarland, who's going to be Eichner's love interest, and Simone from RuPaul's Drag Race will also
My
be in
girl
it.
Simone.
Yeah, Miss entertainer Miss Lawrence from Star, the United States
Oh
versus Billie
yeah.
Holiday. Guillermo Diaz from Scandal, Weeds, and Half Baked, and Guy Branum of the talk show The Game Show is going to be in it as well. So, and if plenty of others.
Wow.
This is kind of cool. What do you guys? It's
It's a big
slated to come
deal.
out. Yeah, and lastly, it's scheduled to be released on August 12th, 2022. Um, yeah,
It
I know you
almost
were.
makes up for the fact that Billy Eichner did not swipe right on me on Tinder. So I'm still a little bit mad at him. So
Has he made up for it? And
he's
yeah.
making he's on his way to making up for it. How about that?
And you know what, Kodi? You are in totally your own rom-com right now, meeting the parents.
I
I'm
should be
just going to
filming this. I
say,
totally should.
you and your boyfriend are totally going to this. I will go with you guys as well. And
Fab.
yeah, I think
That's fun.
it's pretty breakthrough. What are your thoughts on this, Lincoln, when you
Yeah,
hear
it's
this?
very exciting. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to see it and support it. And I just hope it's good.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? Because I don't like saying things are good just because they're gay. I want it to also be
That's
quality.
true.
It's kind of that's wonderful. And by the way, like on Broadway, Torch Song Trilogy, La Cage aux Folles, written by a gay person, starring a gay person, but that's a show, that's theater. But I just hope it's good. That's my hope.
I agree with you too,
Well,
because it's not like there haven't been plenty of gay films. Like I've
Huge.
been to so many gay film festivals before, and there's smaller films, and some are really great and have all gay casts or a predominantly with some straight people, but they play straight characters, and they're great. They just don't have the backing of Universal behind them, and I
and
do
Judd
think,
Apatow, which gives me
and
hope
Judd, yeah.
for So that gives me hope for this film and that it will actually be of a great caliber quality. So I'm really excited.
Salty Pretzer sounds like she's
She
in.
is so playful right now. Peter is trying to keep her occupied, but she is just a little loud. It's okay.
Well, it's interesting. So since we're talking about diversity, we just talked about Folsom Street Fair, which obviously celebrates the BDSM culture. Then we went the other direction where now we have Billy Eichner with a brand new rom-com by Universal. Well, there's a play that's coming to the West End, and it's going to be called Cock. And I love the title already. Taron Egerton from Rocket Man and Jonathan Bailey from Bridgerton have been announced to star in a play titled Cock in the West End. Bailey's most recent appearances on London stage was in the relevant of Stephen Sondheim's Company, for which he won an Olivier.
Oh, wow.
And when the director, Marianne Elliott, first approached Bailey about the role, she told him, "Don't panic when you read it," because in the play, the duo play a longtime gay couple who are forced to explore questions of sexual identity and labeling when one of the characters, John, played by Bailey, meets, quote, the woman of his dreams. Interesting, right? So while Bailey is an out gay man, Egerton, who won a Golden Globe for playing Elton John in Rocket Man, has clarified that he's straight. The casting news for the play has reinvigorated the debate about straight actors playing gay roles. And in addition to that, they're also questioning because, they did a reading of this back in 2009. And some people weren't so happy about the nature of the play. In other words, is it really questioning is sexuality a choice? And I think, you know, so yeah, in 2009, I'll just read you this little bit. The play originally was produced in '09, also has some objectors as the drama seems to present John with the task of, quote, choosing his sexuality. But Bailey disagrees because, quote, the fact is he doesn't need to make a decision, Bailey told the Daily Mail. People identify themselves differently than they did 12 years ago. It was ahead of its time. Anyways, Cock will run from March 5th, 2022 to June 4th at the Ambassador Theatre in London's West End. And I am so there to see this because this is totally right up my alley. I don't know, Kodi,
Same
you have
here.
been vocal about
I have
gay
been.
roles. And first, I guess the first question is, what do you think about the roles and one of the actors being straight, since you've been very vocal about not liking that? And
Well,
two, what do you guys
okay.
think about the whole concept of the topics that it presents?
Well, if we can continue to flip the script as far as what Billy Eichner is doing with his movie, because all of the LGBTQ and out people in that movie, some of them are even playing straight roles. So if we can continue to flip the script like that, then I'm all for it. If you can portray it in an honest and compelling way, then I am here for it. But if you are going to make it a caricature of it, then I don't approve of it. So my main thing was, if you came out, then you would be kind of ostracized in the community and you
Right.
wouldn't get as many acting roles. So I feel like as long as that's not the case anymore and we are getting just as many roles and opportunities as our straight counterparts, then all here for it.
Yeah, and Lincoln, what's your thoughts? Because what about the whole concept of people were kind of up in arms when it had a play reading about, is it essentially saying that we could pick our sexuality, and or do you think that there's now more representation, non-binary, all kinds of ways that we can self-identify now, that this plays into the landscape of current sexuality?
Are you talking about the subject matter of the play or the casting of gay and straight people?
Well, let's start with the subject matter. That's what I was talking about
Well,
there.
I mean, it's always been a continuum. So as long as people are having a conversation about where people lie on the continuum of sexuality, it's not a choice. It's a feeling. It's a blend of what you feel is right and then what you allow yourself to do. If you were told your whole life being gay is bad, being gay is bad, being gay is bad, you don't allow yourself to feel those feelings. Some people might mistake that for being a choice or not. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think
Okay.
for so many of us, for so long myself included, it was then I finally had to piggyback off what you're saying. I then came out as gay, and even though I still lived a little bit under the radar in certain circles, okay, i.e. my family, I also was going to every gay pride. I was a go-go dancer.
Right.
And I think that I it would have been, this type of topic would not have come up so much back then, and I think it would have been a lot more ostracized for thinking that, because I felt like, no, I'm gay and I'm not straight, and I was doing everything to be gay and to self-proclamate on
Yeah.
every level that I could. And I think now we report on so many, like I said, non-binary people that are
Yeah.
coming out in open relationships. Asexuality is a whole thing. Bisexuality is finally, there was a pro wrestler that just came out the other day as bisexual. Bisexuality awareness is now a real thing. We're about to talk about Dan Savage in a few minutes, celebrating 30 years. And one of the things he said was that in the past, he didn't believe people were really bisexual. He thought that they were gay, and he didn't believe in asexuality. Now, because the landscape has changed and there's so many more examples. So I think that this does fall into the landscape of an open dialogue, and it's refreshing to see that we could have a rom-com that's backed now by Universal fucking Pictures, and we can have the iconic Folsom Street Fair, which celebrates BDSM in all its glory, and we can also have a play that brings up topics like cock in the West End that explores this. And I think there's space, as people like to say, there's space for all of this to occur.
There definitely is. I also
I agree.
I still say though, when you're talking about yourself, Stephen, maybe you weren't comfortable being as gay as you wanted around your family, but isn't that just healthy boundaries at times? Like, I'm asking because that's what makes it interesting to me. Like, me being as gay as I want to be doesn't mean I need to be a drag queen. It
Right.
doesn't mean I need to sit at breakfast when I'm in 8th grade in a cock ring and a harness, because it wouldn't make sense. Like, it's my private life. And I've always been this way about my sexuality. You could be anything that you want to be and celebrate it with the circle of people that support you. But that does not mean the entire world has to understand it beginning, middle, and end all the time. As long as no one's hurting people, oppressing people, or putting people down, there is a place for privacy, for boundaries, and for not throwing it in people's face when it's unnecessary.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
that goes
Lincoln,
to, yeah.
I think I just like pulled back another layer of your onion. I feel like I know you so much better now. That was so poignant and wonderful, and
Does that
I
make
so
sense?
appreciate that.
It's the
It
same
totally
as
makes
all,
sense.
and it's the same. Stay with me for a minute. As gay actors, non-gay actors, you're an actor. That's the point. You're not
Yeah.
interviewing for a job that needs one man, one woman, one Hispanic, one black. It's who's the best for the role. Is the role a Asian, gay, transgender woman? Well, guess what? I'm not going to get who's going to be portrayed by a man. If that's the role in the film, don't cast me because you're doing equal casting to make everyone be spoken for. You're casting an actor in a role. You know, when I moved to New York to get on Broadway, my mom's like, well, why don't you just interview for a new play and get the job? And I'm like, Mom, it's not an interview for a job. It's a role for a writer and a director and a costume designer and a choreographer and a musical director to say, this is the person that should play this role. It's not, do you see what I mean? Like, you would never turn and go, oh, well, we have to make the cast diverse. It depends on the story you're telling. Now, then there's
Right.
backstage people, there's different roles. It depends, again, on the role in the play.
And I just think, to answer what you were
Can I
saying before, I just want to say one real quick thing.
No, go
that I
ahead.
think that the menu options have changed. There's a larger menu now of expression, and that's what we didn't always have. You could do whatever you want, of course, back in the day, but I think now there's much more visibility, and the menu options have changed to identify in various ways or hybrid it, and that weren't always getting their due time. What were you going to say, Kodi?
I was going to say what Lincoln just said about the right person for the right role. That way of thinking, well, I agree, and I think that it's wonderful and admirable, but that has excluded a lot of people. That's been used to exclude a large amount of every community from having opportunities that a certain set of one particular type of person has gotten. Does that make sense?
It does make sense outside of a role for a film. Now, if you're doing like, and now, and by the way, I feel certain artistic projects are now using that to make a bigger statement in a performance. So they're doing colorblind casting and doing an entire, I'm trying to come up like production of Music Man, which is traditionally all white people in an all white town talking about Professor Hill coming to town, and now it's across the board that every color, shape, size. Peter and I just saw Wicked this past week, and there is every shape, size, age, color now in that cast. The production that is now it's everyone across the board. But
Wicked
again,
is a
if you're
fantasy,
not,
though, so to that
pardon?
point, Wicked is a fantasy. So who's to say what can exist in a fantasy world?
Well, it's
You know
actually
what I mean?
a musical about color, judging people for the color of their skin.
Well, I get
It's not really
that.
a fantasy.
I get that.
It is about
it's
skin color.
it's fantastical. It's not of this world.
Correct.
It's otherworldly. Exactly.
Right. And that plays into it, though. Depending on the project. That's all I'm saying. You're absolutely right. A lot of people have been excluded out of a lot of things for many, many years. And right now, it's so hard, I feel, and challenging in the entertainment industry because there are so many platforms. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's really refreshing too to see that when there's been a couple things I've been watching. For example, Angelica Ross, who was in Pose, is currently in the current American Horror Story, and
She's amazing.
she's transgender and just seamlessly is one of the really evil characters in the current American Horror Story double feature. It's so good. If you just wrapped up, but you can catch it. I think she's going to be in the part 2 of it. And such a great actress, and it was never talked about transgender or anything. And then I was scrolling through my General Hospital that I sometimes record to keep up with because I'm a longtime General Hospital fan. And I was like, who's this character? And I looked it up, transgender, but I don't know that it's acting alongside all the other actors. And I think the representation is really refreshing to kind of see in traditional things that have never had that. And so it's opening up so many more doors, and I'm here for it. And
Yes, I couldn't agree
yeah,
more. When it's used to not limit the story, but to open up the story and tell more diverse stories, then that is when it is a good thing. So,
yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
They say variety is the spice of life. They also say that Drizzly is like having the world's largest liquor store in the palm of your hand. So why not combine the two things they're constantly talking about with Drizzly, the #1 app for alcohol delivery? Compare prices on a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. Always find what you want, like my favorite Casal Garcia Vino Verde that I'm often drinking when we record TAGSPodcast. Get drinks delivered right to your door in under 60 minutes, no travel, no hassle. Drizzly connects you directly to their local liquor stores to compare prices for the best deals and access the widest selection of beer, wine, and liquor. So go check out Drizzly now by downloading the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Use promo code SPICE5 for $5 off your first order. That's drizzly.com and use code SPICE5 for $5 off. Do you have a cabinet full of acne treatments and skincare products, but don't even remember what half of them do? Hey guys, your buddy Steve V here, and I've been known to be a sucker for skincare products, but, to be honest, I've always taken care of my skin, even as a little boy when my mom used to buy me Sea Breeze. Do you guys remember that? Sea Breeze? To clean the dirt on my dirty skin and prevent acne. But after overpaying and consulting professionals like dermatologists over at Apostrophe, I've learned less is more, and good skincare doesn't have to be expensive at all. You just have to pick your products wisely and always use SPF. So here's the deal. It turns out most skincare products don't do much. The best way to treat acne is with fewer products that are clinically proven and customized to your skin. And that's why I'm excited to partner with Apostrophe. Apostrophe is a prescription skincare company that offers science-based oral and topical medications that are clinically proven to help clear acne. Apostrophe connects you with a board-certified dermatologist who will create a personalized treatment plan that is perfectly tailored to your unique skin. All you got to do is simply fill out Apostrophe's online quiz about your skin goals and medical history, then snap a few selfies, and your dermatologist will create your customized treatment plan. Apostrophe treats acne, and they can also help you hit your other skincare goals like reducing redness, wrinkles, and even dark spots. I can tell you my experience with Apostrophe online was so easy. All I did was upload a few close-up selfies of my skin and fill out this thorough yet short questionnaire of my skin. Dr. Skindamis circled back the same day with my very own skincare regimen. I loved how quickly my prescription arrived to my house so I could get started, and I can honestly say that my product has visually improved the appearance of my skin tone. It's appearing more even and smooth while fading away the two dark spots I've always wanted to cover up. The entire experience was seamless, and I'm really loving the results. Well, we have a special deal for our audience here at TAGS. You can save $15 off your first visit with a board-certified dermatologist at apostrophe.com/tags when you use our code TAGS, TAGS. This code is only available to our listeners. So to get started, simply go to apostrophe.com/tags and click Begin Visit. Then use our code TAGS at sign up and you'll get $15 off your dermatology visit. That's apostrophe, apostrophe.com/tags. And use that code TAGS, TAGS, to get your dermatology visit and save $15. And we really thank Apostrophe for sponsoring TAGS Podcast.
Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
Some read self-help books. Others use meditation. At New Balance, it's believed that peace can be found with a run. You're never truly prepared for adversity, but certain things serve as a guide for moving forward. Whether sprinting or running marathons, the physical and mental requirements become ingrained. Visualizing an outcome, synchronizing breath and body, pushing past pain and fatigue. Those hard-learned lessons serve as a blueprint for overcoming obstacles and achieving balance in life. Go beyond the run at newbalance.com.
Unfortunately, not always when you push boundaries is it always accepted, even here in New York. And I'm talking about Okcupid. Do you know Okcupid?
Oh yeah,
They're a
me and Billy
platform, but are they
Eichner, we've been on there before. No, I'm just joking.
okay?
It was Tinder. It was Tinder.
So, Kodi, is Okcupid all about dating, essentially, not hooking up, right?
Yes. Well, I would say for straight people, it's more of a hookup site, but for gay people, at least when I was using dating apps and Okcupid, it was more for I was using it more for relationships.
Okay, but a gay relationship.
Because gay men have Grindr, basically. So
okay, well, they are in the news right now because Okcupid has responded to a viral video. I'll post this up on TAGSPodcast that shows a woman and two other people tearing down an advertisement for the company's new, quote, every single person ad campaign, which is in New York City subway trains, while calling the ads propaganda and too risque for children for featuring queer people, pansexuality, and people who identify as non-binary. So they're holding, and I looked at some of them, they're really cool. Yeah, it's queer people, pansexuality, non-binary. So speaking of really pushing the boundaries, and in the video, the woman can be heard saying the ads were affecting the next generation. She says this is disgusting. And in another video, she's heard saying this isn't about equality, you guys, it's about communism. And she goes on and on with two other people, and they start. The crazy thing about the video is, and you guys know those ads that are at the top of the subways, right?
Yeah.
And they're usually lengthy. And I'm looking at one that says pansexual and two women with their tongues out, and it's really cool. They're shouting out, ripping them off, saying things like I just said, this is communism, this is not great for the... And meanwhile, everybody else on the train has a mask on, but them. So while they're so appalled at the things and defacing an ad campaign, they're also screaming at the top of their lungs on the subway station without their mask. It's so ludicrous. Thank goodness, though, Okcupid released a statement condemning what it called an extreme reaction to the ad. And they said, at Okcupid, we celebrate love for every single person, regardless of identity, ethnicity, race, orientation, or gender. Many have reached out to us with heartfelt reactions to our Every Single Person campaign, sharing the joy of seeing their true selves represented in advertising. That's nuts, right?
I love that.
Here, even in New York, does that just shock you that even in New York you would see this, Kodi?
No, we have all the nuts here in New York.
And a lot of nuts visiting from out of town.
Exactly.
Oh, well, good point.
Hello. Yeah.
So it does not surprise me. I've seen those advertisements in the subway, and I thought they were so wonderful. It's not only about sexualities. It's not about pansexual. It's about being an introvert. It's about being asexual, like you were saying. I don't know if that's actually true.
Yep.
But
Pansexual, non-binary.
It was actually every type of person, and I thought it was so cute in the way that they promote each thing or make it a visual medium. The way they transcribe it to a visual medium is so smart and so wonderful. I can't believe those ladies. They're horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about the campaign, Lincoln, and the response to it?
I think that the campaign is brilliant because in these times, that can be so scary because of so many things, from climate
Mhm.
change to pandemics to just the way we all can't even get along. And we're all stuck in our phones, and our phones make everyone a little bit more nasty and a little bit more mean. And it's just crazy that you're going to try and put down people for loving each other. So I actually think it's the perfect platform to have every shape, size, color, desire know that they can be struck by Cupid's arrow too. So I love the
Aw.
campaign, and I think it's great because love is love, and we certainly shouldn't be shutting that down, especially because, like, you've heard this line before. If you don't like a non-binary love story, then don't fall in love with a non-binary person.
It's
It's
Yeah.
very
true.
simple. If you don't like gay men getting married, don't marry a gay man. It's not
Right.
about you. We're not bringing down the universe because we want to have a special. Everyone wants to fall in love, have a companion, grow older, take care of each other, and have enough food to eat, a shelter over their head, not get sick, and not have their house blown away by a tornado. It's
That's
pretty
right.
basic. And for
And
the
I don't
people
want
who
to marry
want to be
those ladies.
alone, be alone. Like, but there are a lot of people that think the whole reason we're here is to procreate and to have little mini me's by replicating, having children and populating the world that way. And they have very strong views too. But my views don't put people down, and those
Right.
sometimes do. And that's where I find the problem.
And when you expand the conversation, I think it's brilliant that, because, we talk a lot about on this show, Grinder and Scruff, on how they're essentially hookup sites. And we're going to have the guy from Sniffies on our show in a couple of weeks, which is really cool. He told me in a pre-interview that it's all about not relationships. It's literally about cruising and hooking up on the spot. And I appreciate that. And we're going to talk more about Sniffies when we have them on the show in a couple of weeks. But I think we've had people write in, where do I go if I've had no luck on the Grinders and the Scruffs finding dates, even though they bill themselves sometimes as wanting to be dating as well as hooking up. And so I think Okcupid is simply filling the void there and embracing, because I didn't even know that it spoke to our LGBTQ world. And now not only but they're talking about pansexual, non-binary. I think it's like they really are. And what better way to do it than in New York City? And fuck you, that stupid woman, for
That's right.
ripping down and to do. But what a horrible way she's very Karen in many ways. And then to not even be having a mask. Okay, so you're so upset with this, but you're potentially threatening all of us in a health crisis. It's just any argument you had is out the door in my mind, because you can't even practice protocol in a health pandemic that is affecting all of us. So it's like your name is mud to me.
What's
That's
sad
right.
to me is all of these things. We've talked about this now for over 2 years. It seems like the universe keeps handing us things for us to come together and fight together as a humanity, whether it's the climate change issue, the pandemic issue, ignorance, educating people that love is love, and it just keeps separating and separating and separating. It's so sad to me. Like, when
It's
are we going to just realize this is it?
you
We
know
don't
it
need to do it
it's
for the children. We don't need to do it for anything other than, like, let's just stop and see each other, put down our phones, connect, and go, hey, did you lose your brother to someone that was non-binary? Is that why you're so angry? What, like, there's a conversation that has to be had, not a 30-second clip that becomes trending that perpetuates more anger, fear, and separation. And that's
right.
all we're doing
And the
every
only
day.
thing is, I think transitioning is where we're at, turning point, revolutionary moment, because these conversations didn't happen 10, 15 years ago as much as they
Yeah.
are now. And anytime there's change and turning point, it's rocky. and we're seeing it play in front of us on a larger scale, partly because of the phones and
Yeah, that's what I
the
was gonna
videos
say.
that we all can document.
If
I
we
would
didn't
have
have the
never known.
phones,
I
exactly,
thank
we
this
would
lady
never know.
because I might go on Okcupid now to look for my next boyfriend, and so kind of not mad at it for that. Thanks, lady, because by your acting out, it might get me on there. Well, we have to shout out to the legendary OG Dan Savage, who is celebrating 30 years with his sex advice column, and
Wow.
he really is the OG
It's
of
the
all
goat
of
right
this
there.
stuff. Yep. Savage Love, his brand new book, which is coming out to celebrate Savage Love from A to Z. It's an illustrated essay, is coming out soon. And in a recent interview on NPR, they asked him the question. So when you started the column, people couldn't easily look up information online, and now everything is Googleable. How have search engines changed the kind of questions that you get and the kinds of answers you give? So he said, well, search engines made my job harder because I used to get a lot of how to questions or what is questions. People would hear about something or overhear something, and they wouldn't have a place to go where they could look that up very easily. And they'd ask. And those columns were easy to write. So, how to use a sex toy were basic questions, right? So,
Uh-huh.
well, now that particular sex toy has its own wiki page, as does almost any sex act, he says, that you can think of, which means all of my questions are situational ethics. So now he says,
Oh my
who's
goodness.
I now he gets questions like, I did this, they did that, who's right, who's wrong, what do we do with all these hurt feelings,
Yeah.
how do we get past this? Those questions are a lot harder to answer. It's much more of a high wire act. And I couldn't help but write down a note that said we are in 2.0 of our LGBTQ world right now, where the original questions used to be how to use a sex toy, where do I go for this, if I want to find BDSM culture. Now you can look everything up on your phone. And I think even here we get questions where we thoughtfully answer the people's questions about their
We do.
relationships. And I feel like it's, again, a transitional moment of, I think we're a very young species, our LGBT, as a human race, but my
Yes.
mind is definitely LGBTQ plus. Particularly, that's why many of us, like a fine wine, we get better with time because we're
Man.
finally peeling back, like you said, Cody, the layers. And I know you were talking about Lincoln, but I think we all are in many ways. And we're finding we have more layers that we can actually explore. What are your thoughts about this, Cody, when you hear this, about what he's saying about the questions have become more deeper, not how do you do this or where do I go if I want to find this?
I think it shows growth in our community for sure. I think that when we get into the whole who is right and who is wrong thing, then that is probably more of a therapy type of situation right there. However,
Right.
when it comes to other situational type things, it's kind of escaped me right now what those situations could actually be. But I feel like it shows a lot of growth for our community as far as those are being the questions now, because like Dan Savage said, we can just Google so many things now, so all that is readily at hand for us. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to the growth and peeling back the next layer, like you said.
In Lincoln, it's interesting because I was reading another article about the BDSM culture and how the culture is based on communication. In other words, safe play, safe words, how far to let things go. And communication in BDSM culture and exploring your fetishes has always been about communication. In some ways, very much more, not advanced is the word I want to say, but evolved in many ways. What are your thoughts when you hear this about what Dan Savage is saying on how I call it 2.0 and we're moving forward?
Of course, I'm totally the opposite. I think it's a little sad, actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that
think
we're
it's a little
talking more
sad.
and
No, 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 no,
exploring.
no. I rather would have Dan Savage's opinion from his life than the answer of Google. I actually think that's part of the reason that shows like this work, because we're telling our personal story about what's going on, not just a Google answer. And not for nothing, everyone thinks they're smart because they know how to Google something and then they forget it 3 minutes later. So what really are we learning? But if you sit down with me for 20 minutes and I tell you my experience through a personal story, you are not going to forget it. You're not going to forget it because it came from my experience as a human being, not just another quick 30-second thing that you can read and forget and go, oh yeah, I've done bondage because I read about it on Wikipedia.
Well,
Shut the fuck up. You haven't done any
right.
bondage.
And I think that's his point that now that's his point. I think that now you can search for anything for some of the basic stuff. However, although I would argue a little bit on that because Dr. Goldstein does more in-depth things that aren't, sometimes it's, you can Google it, but you have to really listen to what he's saying about better bottoming practices and how to take care of your ass and how to properly clean it that you won't always get in just a Google search.
And we all know, sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
We all know the difference between communication, right? We talked about this by us all being together at your apartment 3 weeks ago versus us being separate all over in our own homes. What's the difference between texting back and forth all day or sitting and actually talking on the phone versus FaceTiming on the phone where you see someone's face versus being with someone? And, you know, the political climate separated everyone. Then the pandemic made everyone stay at home. And while, listen, I want to be the most positive person about everything with the gay community and with our humanity, but I think we all need therapy. When you mentioned that it's over into the therapy lane, everyone get into therapy immediately because of what we just went through as a society. And I have to say there is a lot. I just had somebody else OD in the past week.
Oh no!
There are a lot of people. Thank you. There are a lot of people dying out there. I've been walking around certain neighborhoods now that I'm doing some different work and getting out of Chelsea. We have a lot of gay boys in the city that are just zombies walking around like they're not even there. We have a huge crystal meth issue. We have a lot going on in our community, and I don't know how we're going to come out the other side. It's fabulous that there's a half an hour or an hour show that RuPaul Drag Race and this show that celebrates this and celebrates that. But when you actually look at the people that are out and about or home and not leaving their house or committed suicide or overdosed because they just couldn't handle it anymore, isn't that the real conversation? I don't know. I personally think it is, and I don't see the bright light at the end of the tunnel anymore in my lifetime. I get very nervous, and I will do everything in my power to make that light sparkle as big as possible and be an example for the life that I lead. But it is not pretty. It's, in my opinion, it's not pretty.
I'm happy that there's resources out there.
Thank God.
We can certainly put some of those up on, because you mentioned that, on TAGSPodcast.com for sure in episode 302. Hey guys, your buddy Steve V here. And boy, can I tell you, I am so happy our sponsor Manscaped has come around with so many of their amazing products and tools to help me trim down under. Oh my goodness, I can remember the time as a dancer wearing an all-white brief, thinking I was looking cute, and waiting till the last minute to trim down under with a blade that I had bought, you know, those disposable blades, nicking and cutting myself off because I waited too long to trim down there, getting to the gig for the night to dance my night away wearing a white brief, because back in those days we didn't have the cute stuff, and I'm wearing this white brief and all I can see is red marks down there. Thank God for the lighting, because you couldn't see all the blood that was coming through. I nicked and cut myself so much that it stained part of these briefs that they were cute briefs, but still not handling the blood. I am just so happy that Manscaped has come about because I don't nick and cut myself like that anymore. And let me tell you something. It's time to bundle up with Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Boy, do I wish I had that back then. And inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. First off, the new Performance Package 4.0 includes the new Lawnmower 4.0. If you're looking to cozy up this fall, this trimmer is essential. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, and it's all thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Plus, it's waterproof. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. This nose and ear hair trimmer uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system to provide proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations, and I'm talking about the Crop Preserver ball deodorant. Everyone knows pumpkin spice lattes and ball deodorants go hand in hand. Then, after trimming the pumpkin patch and whacking the leaves, give your balls a boost and use the Crop Reviver. And Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0. I'm talking about the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. All right, so here's the deal. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TAGS, TAGS, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code TAGS at manscaped.com. Make your balls a priority this fall. Choose Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. I want to get these last 2 topics in, and this next one I'm really excited to ask you two because you're both in relationships. Ooh. And the Instinct magazine asked the question. So for those of us in LGBTQ community who are in relationships, being in public with your significant other can be either a very delicate situation or no big deal, depending on where you live. And in the Reddit subcategory, Ask Gay Men, which is I subscribe to, a user with the screen name, My Name Is Not Becky, I love that, asked the question with their post, gay couples, how do people treat you in public? Is what they wrote. I know this varies based on location, but that's been the reception. I'm going to imagine a lot occasional stares and even whispering. I also imagine a lot of, oh my God, you guys are so cute. Do you like how I said that? That was so Becky, right?
I mean, I feel like I was on the street right now and somebody was talking to me because I get that all the time, darling.
So here's a question for you guys. Do you guys refrain from holding hands in public? And if not, was it nerve-wracking the first time? He writes, I'm gay, but I've never been with someone, so I'm curious. And the responses were all over the place, as you can imagine. Yeah. People live in liberal cities. One person commented on how they don't let their environment affect how they are with each other in public, on and on. But I figured, what a great question to pose to you guys. Lincoln, since you've been in the longer-term relationship, let's start with you. Public affection, how do you express it in this time climate that we're currently in and what you see on the streets? And we all know there's hate crimes happening left and right. How do you manage all this?
I think when you hold your partner's hand in public, that is gay pride. And it's 365 days a year. If you are out in public and you hold hands with your gay man lover or women lover, or like interracial relationships or older relationships, younger, it doesn't matter. That to me is a symbol of pride and freedom to love whoever you want. Now, if we're in a dark street at the wrong hour and it is not a great feeling, or if we're just somewhere where we go, why cause a commotion? We might not do it. But Peter and I rarely edit our behavior for where we are. We're not the kind that have to hold hands all the time to prove something, but we are affectionate with each other and would not hold back because we're gay. We would just hold back maybe because it's not again, privacy,
Yeah.
dignity, like dignified. Why are we doing this now? You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, yeah. And Kodi, I can't wait to hear your response just real quick since I'm not in the relationship. But my thoughts are, in this climate, I would be a little bit, I think I would know my environment, check in with myself. Have we had too much to drink and we are not, our senses maybe aren't as acute. And just because there's so much hate crimes going on. But on the other hand, I'm not always the first one to initiate, but when I have had boyfriends or somebody I'm dating, it's really lovely, I have to say, and I'm here for it. But it does cross my mind. I am hyper aware of my surroundings at all times, and I just think that's my old school side of me that I take a little bit longer to take a deep breath and relax, but I do check in with where I'm at and my senses of what I'm reading on the current situation.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Everything you guys just said, I agree with wholeheartedly, 100%. Me and my boyfriend are attached at the hand constantly. I don't know where my hand begins and where his hand ends sometimes.
I love
that. Especially at Folsom. Kidding.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not letting him go at Folsom. Are you kidding me? I would beat a bitch's ass. Don't make, okay, that's another question.
Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to. Again, therapy. We're fine. Everything's fine.
But it would be irresponsible of us to not say be aware of your surroundings and make sure that you are keeping yourself as safe as possible. So I agree with you guys wholeheartedly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually kind of compare it, by the way, is like you're not going to pull out your wallet and let your cash show.
Yeah,
you're not going to, right? You're not going to be like,
good analogy.
Here's my Apple Watch and my iPhone and my wallet. Hi, no, well, okay, you might not want to do that here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. If you don't feel safe, don't hold hands.
It's just interesting, though, because we're still talking about this because we just reported on so many advances in our community, and yet a straight couple wouldn't think twice about doing this, and all the things that we kind of went through. I mean, even gay pride, when you said that, aren't in the mix of a conversation that a heterosexual couple would ever even think of. I would say a white heterosexual couple.
Right.
It's just interesting. And lastly, I'll end on this Reddit thread that just caught my eye. It's a quick fire. Air travel with your dildo? Do you guys travel with your dildo? A Reddit guy asked, like on a plane in your check-in luggage. So he goes, okay, I've decided to bring it with me on holiday to Athens. Wish me luck, guys. And I don't think I've ever traveled with a dildo because I'm trying to get the D when I'm in Athens, or especially in Athens. I'm just going to say that. So I don't really bring toys with me. The one thing that I have packed, well, one time, speaking of Folsom Street Fair, I overpacked and had to almost bring 2 pieces of luggage because leather gear is freaking heavy and weighed me down. And so I felt like I had to almost wear it on the plane just so I didn't have to like pack it. But the one thing I don't leave home without when I am traveling is my little bulb cleaner, my ass cleaner that I put in but I pack it because I pack it, it's clean, it's in a sealable, in my dirty clothes, that mesh cleaner part of your luggage, and I put in there. Is there anything naughty in your luggage, Lincoln, that you travel with when is it a dildo or a paddle?
This is very basic. Everyone get out your pen and paper because it works like a dream. You get a shipping box and you print a label from your address to the hotel and from the hotel back to your address. You load up the box with all of your leather, your toys, your things. You give it to FedEx. And when you arrive at the hotel, there is your box of things to do. You use it during your stay. You put it back in the box, put the return label on it, give it to the front desk at the hotel, and it ends up being back at your home.
Oh my God, you are so organized.
smart.
Because the amount I
Very
could barely get
simple.
out the door.
I used to go to Bear Week in Provincetown with like a handbag and a backpack. And I had 17 different outfits and 34 toys that all arrived at the boat slip, left the boat slip without me having to drag it on the boat, the plane, the train, the Uber, and all that stuff.
Have you ever done this
Nice.
internationally?
No.
Okay. So
See,
it works
not
within
doing it
your
international.
own country for sure.
But also, if you're you pack light internationally and bring an empty suitcase because you buy stuff there and bring it back with you.
That's
Right.
true.
You go to
Why
Mr.
would you?
There's all kinds of great.
Especially in Berlin and London, Amsterdam, all that stuff. You want to buy all new stuff there and bring it back to you because you can't find some of that stuff in the United States.
Good point. Cody,
Yeah, especially the
thoughts
poppers.
on this?
So,
What did you
yes.
bring to Florida to meet the parents besides some
God.
flowers?
I got all the dildos and all the
Nipple clamps for mommy
Oh my God.
and cock ring for the new
everybody.
father-in-law. Hello.
No,
Wouldn't that be
absolutely not.
hilarious?
We're waiting
Oh
for
my
Christmas for
goodness,
that,
I
apparently.
cannot.
Yes.
I don't normally pack those things. Unfortunately, I'm going to start implementing Lincoln's plan though, because that is freaking genius.
Thanks.
But
It is.
I do have a short story about. I used to work in the airport, right? And right after 9/11, we would sometimes we'd have to search the bag. So one time we did search a bag and we did find a bunch of dildos in the bag, and it was
See?
hilarious. And
Because
but
you
the
know
guy-
I wouldn't
the guy was
claim it.
standing
I would
right
be like,
there.
that's not me.
No.
Mm-mm.
We pulled him to the side. I worked at the gate, so I pulled the man to the side at the gate, and we opened up his luggage, and all these dildos came out.
Oh my God. Wow.
We talked about that for the longest time, and it was great.
I love it. And on that note, happy traveling. Happy meet the parents, Kodi, Maurice, Doggette. And you can follow Kodi. Hopefully you'll get a little insight into his Meet the Parents week here. Follow him on Instagram at Mr. Maurice, or his life coaching Instagram at KMG Coaching, and follow Lincoln at Mad Lincoln. Did you get to see Madonna when she was here, Lincoln?
For Madam X?
Yeah.
No, we were at Wicked.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
one iconic moment to the next with you always.
Which, by the way, Wicked is so good right now. And we saw the understudy for
Ooh.
Elphaba, and she was the closest thing to Adina that I've seen in a very long time.
Coming
and
from you.
The understudy for Glenda right now is the first Black Glenda. So I cannot wait to go back and see her. And if I could see her with the understudy Elphaba, everything will work.
Come to New York. We
Come to New
want
York.
you to come to New York. It's really shaping up nicely. It's we want to meet you too. So reach
Yay.
out to us
Yes.
at TAGSPodcast. You guys, so much to cover, so much fun. We barely got
So
through
much
half of
fun.
it. I love
What?
you guys. Thanks for making it work tonight. I know there's more topics. Tags live on Wednesday. All right, you guys. In the meantime, continue having hot
Gay sex.
sex.
Yay!
Hey.
Yes.
Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the resculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.